1 hour from now, Missouri and city leaders will meet for the very first time to begin planning the future of the St. Louis Metro Police Department. And guess what? We have Mark Maxwell here joining us to explain what's on the agenda. Yeah. You know, it's a hard sell. Like earlier we were like, coming up, what's on the agenda?
Yes.
But you know what?
Yeah,
the
let's
idea
read
is
this piece of paper.
Oh my gosh.
you've got it on your notebook.
It's
Pen
so
and
important.
paper.
You guys with all your highfalutin
Computer
technology.
technology.
So old school journalists,
Yeah.
baby, we go with the pen and paper.
That's
Yeah.
right. You feel it, you need it. It's very good. And thank you for being on this.
Yeah,
This
thank
is such an
you.
interesting thing.
You guys are great. The entrance was a little underwhelming. Gary
Oh.
Frank promised me a bugler, a red carpet,
Yeah.
like a big entrance.
I know. A
Flowers.
beverage.
We do that only for the people who bring food on this show.
And then
Sorry.
aren't already on the payroll.
Yeah, that's true.
Okay,
That's true.
now I know.
No, wait, I got to ask you for real, though, because it's not very sexy to be like, what's on the agenda? But this is a brand new commission. This is a brand new first meeting,
Right.
right? And so it is interesting. Like, what are they going to talk about today?
You would think,
Yeah.
because we've been building up this big political fight for the state takeover of the city police department for the last 2 years. It's
Yeah.
been one of the
Right.
biggest fights in Jefferson City. And so you would think this first big meeting might be fireworks and all that, but the agenda is going to look pretty boring on paper.
Okay.
They're going to do a couple things like elect some officers, all the boring bureaucratic stuff you would expect from a new board to do. But there are some things to watch for. One of those things is going to be looking for transparency, right? So they're going to have a lot. They're going to write their own rules. So we're going to find out: are they going to be friendly to open records requests? They're going to start to consider those kinds of questions today. Another big thing that they're going to look at is the money. So get this: the state law tells them a few things they shall do, but it doesn't really tell them things they can't do. So, for example, anything they can imagine, they can do. For example, what if they decided to put themselves on the payroll? What if they decided to say, hey, we're going to skim a little off the top of the city police budget and put it in our pockets? Nothing stops them from doing that. So I don't know if they would lead with the first meeting on that.
Right,
Maybe they'll
right.
quietly
Right.
table it for later. But the last thing, there will be one other big thing too, though, and that's this big $7.1 million contract dispute over which company gets to supply the police department with their body cameras. So if you care about police transparency and body cameras and all that, that's a big issue. The losing company that lost that bid, they're upset. They want that money, so they've been pressing and saying, we want an investigation here. We expect the police board of commissioners this morning to take on that question as well.
Do you know what the situation is right now with body cams? Like, who has the contract right
There's
now?
a winning
currently?
company and there's a losing
Okay.
company, and it's just a bitter dispute, and it's a lot of money on the line, and it's really a business decision. They're going to tackle into some of that thorny stuff for the first time today.
But they're meeting for the first time, and yet that's been decided?
Well,
That
they're
contract?
going to start. The contract had been decided by the chief prior under the old, but they're just sort of inheriting all the lingering issues.
Yeah.
So you think you want this job? Good luck. Here you go. But you know, we're going to learn a lot. One of the guys who's got the longest term, Chris Saraceno, he'll be there for 4 years. Runs Bartolino's, but he also has a private security firm as well. So it's really interesting to see. You know, we're going to learn
Is that
a
not
lot.
a conflict of interest?
Well, that's the thing. They're going to set their conflict of interest policies.
Okay.
They're going to set their disclosure policies. Another guy, Don Brown, he doesn't get a vote, but he sits on the board, kind of an advisory member. He sells cars to the police department and has for years.
Wow.
Is that a conflict?
Right, and remind everyone who might not be following this, detail by detail. How was this commission selected?
Well, the House and Senate, selected?
Yes.
The governor had an advisory panel person that was kind of going over all the different applications. He said there was a lot of people that came forward, but ultimately these are Governor Mike Kehoe's picks. The only one person who sits on this board who the governor really didn't have a pick over was the mayor, because they said the mayor used to run the police department, now she'll get a seat on the board. So whoever the mayor of St. Louis is will have that fifth and final seat. One thing to watch for, Kara Spencer ran on a promise of transparency. How hard will she fight? How successfully will she fight to bend this board of the old boys club into being transparent?
Yeah, I mean, can we talk about the makeup of the board a little bit? I mean, we've got how many? I just lost the graphic there.
Yeah.
Four
dudes,
four
one woman,
white dudes.
two women.
Let's be
There's
honest.
the mayor,
Yeah.
Sonia Jenkins-Gray. She was a big person on the city personnel department. She was just recently fired by former Mayor Jones. There was a big dispute there. That got real ugly. She's now been put in this position of prominence. And then you've got down the list, Brad Ortega owns a photography company. Ed McVeigh owns Maggie O'Brien's Irish Pub. Sonia Jenkins-Gray, Chris Saraceno, and then Don Brown, the car salesman. So a car salesman governor, Mike Kehoe, picking a car salesman, Don Brown, to be on the board. Kind of an interesting connection.
A lot of
there.
business owners too,
Yeah.
and obviously they never worked together before. I mean, you got to feel that out, right? How's it going to
Oh
be?
yeah,
Or have they?
how well do they get along? I think
Yeah.
there have been. It seems like there's some collegiality between the group. We saw them at a press conference. The governor didn't put them in front of the cameras to take our questions, but you could tell there was some whispers and some friendship. There was some bonding going on there. So the group seems to have some familiarity with each other.
I think it'll be really interesting to see how it all shakes out. I mean, because St. Louis has said time and time again, we don't want people managing our police department unless they're from St. Louis, right? And so,
And these people do live in the city.
They do live in the city,
But they were picked by a Republican governor
right? Who doesn't live here?
who lost 80% of the vote, roughly, in the last election, in the city limits of St. Louis.
Right.
So he wasn't a popular politician here. He's imposing his will here through it's legal,
Yes.
but it's also being challenged in court. Don't forget, a judge just set a court date for November where President of the Board of Aldermen, Megan Green, and a number of other progressive activists, they can take this whole law, this whole police board to court and say, you don't have a right to exist, you don't have the right to rule us, we want to rule ourselves. So the existence of this board is still in dispute.
Yeah.
In the end, it's about safety, though, right? It's about keeping
Yes.
people safe in the city. Whatever does that, I don't know about all this. Thank gosh you're on it, and I know you'll be fighting for details. But it's about keeping my family safe. It's about walking out the door, having a business, and we need help.
Yeah,
And that's-
we definitely, if something's broken, right, we
need
do know
even
that.
more.
there's something.
Yeah, exactly.
That's one of the arguments that's going to come up in court because the Arch City Defenders, other social groups and activist groups, they've argued this if this police board diverts money away from social programs, crime prevention and interruption
Community
programs
policing.
towards more police overhead, towards more police bodies, that's a political disagreement over priorities in the budget. But if this results in diverting money away from what has been working, then it might make us less safe.
Yeah.
Of course, the police unions say, no, we want more rank and file officers, more people with badges and guns. And so there's this long-standing dispute that usually has been, historically in the city of St. Louis, business and police on one side, and then workers and activists on this side. And there's this sort of long-running dispute there.
The pressure's
Now,
on.
Yeah, and so just to wrap up, what time is the meeting and are you going to be there?
Oh yeah, 9 o'clock, I'll be there,
Okay.
pen and paper in hand. We'll bring you all the reports and all the
Alright.
information we can, see if there's anything new to glean there. But yeah, I heard you guys have some good food. I'm gonna have to linger
Yeah,
around.
you got to stick around for
We'll
at
save you
least
some.
Save me a slice?
12 minutes, okay?
Okay, good.
All
good to
right.
see you guys.
We'll feed you. We'll feed
Can
you.
we come on the
Yeah,
record
come on the show.
sometime?
We'll have to mix it up. This has been great. Thanks
Do a little
for
debate.
Thanks for getting
the
up early.
bugler next time,
Really
or at least a
appreciate
bag of bugles.